and major powers to take advantage of a 30-day window to strike a nuclear deal before the UN reimposes sanctions on Tehran in a move triggered by Europe. We are now learning that Stephanie Dujarric, the spokesperson for the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, has stated that this period will provide an opportunity to avoid further escalation and find a peaceful way forward. Meanwhile, on the other hand, Russia's UN Deputy Envoy Dmitry Polyansky has now responded to European powers' move, stating that it had absolutely no legal bearing. Let's in fact listen in to some other statements he made on the issue.
I will say that this move by European countries, in our view, has absolutely no legal bearing, because they were not implementing Resolution 2231 in good faith. For example, they did nothing in terms of lifting sanctions against Iran during the so-called transition day 2 years ago. They are acting absolutely in breach of JCPOA in each and every sense and letter and spirit of this document. So we do not think that this move by these three countries should entail any action from the Council. This is our very strong and principled conviction. Of course, it will affect the overall climate over the issues related to Iranian nuclear program.
All right, still with us on the broadcast is Ms. Shruti Das Gupta. We've heard it from the Russian spokesperson. He's of course stated that what the E3 is doing, what the European powers are doing, they have absolutely no legal bearing. We did see, in fact, strikes take place against Iranian nuclear facilities. Iran had threatened to pull out of the NPT earlier, but somehow negotiations and talks are still taking place with European powers. However, they're seeming to break down. Do you think Iran will accept this ultimatum that has now been given by the UN?
Iran is divided into two factions, one of which wants to accept the deal that has been placed on the table for them, where they will have, increased access to the world trade, they will have other access to the modern world. But there is another faction that does not want to bow down to any of the ultimatums and threats that are pushed on it via sanctions or via the war that had just happened, the 12-day war that had just happened. So Iran on its own is divided into two parts. But I also understand that it is right now being supported by China and Russia very, very well. They have in fact floated a resolution to extend the timeline of this particular window till April 2026. And in that particular draft that they have floated, they have asked for the E3 to be out of any of the negotiation and the peacekeeping part of the Iran and its nuclear program. Iran has, of course, given access to one site to IAEA in the nuclear deal that has happened. This is Bushehr. They have given access to them where nuclear refueling is, I think, about to happen soon. So Iran is trying to comply, but not trying to bow down. When this 30-minute window and a timeline, something like this, is placed in front of it, it faces a kind of a ticking clock, and where they are being pushed to a corner to how to deal with issues regarding their national security as well as the world's security itself. Now, if I look beyond this, the first sunset clause of the JCPOA that is supposed to expire in October is going to come through, and where they are basically trying to push through that. If they manage it, they get access to a large amount of reserves that has been frozen. They get to do a part of the trade. So the Iranian regime is trying to buy time till the time that particular clause comes into play. And the UN, of course, is asking the European nations to try and accelerate the process of getting to a particular nuclear deal that will enable the world to feel safer. Otherwise, the 45 times breached limit, and I'm repeating that number, the enriched uranium breached the limit that was set by JCPOA was 45 times. So that particular amount is scary for anybody. if Iran gets access to its reserves, gets to sell oil, gets to trade with the world, it might get access to develop a nuclear weapon on the side while it was under sanctions and the JCPOA. So it's a very double-edged sword. While we do want Iran to adhere to the norms of the world and not go into nuclear proliferation and trigger a worldwide panic as well as arms race, we also do not know whether the European nations have enough say or power to ensure that Iran comes to the talking table on their terms. They can put those sanctions, but the nuclear proliferation still occurred while those sanctions were in play.
Yes. Indeed, ma'am, I request you to stay on with us. We're tracking